So when people have hair transplants, they worry about things like if their hair transplant is going to be a success, if their hair is actually going to grow after the procedure, and how they can have the cheapest possible hair transplant. But in this video, I'm going to tell you about something that you should also be worried about, something you should really be worried about, something that is becoming more common over the last 5 to 10 years. And by the time you spot it, it's usually too late and the damage has already been done. Keep watching. So the issue is overharvesting with FUE hair transplants. I'm going to explain exactly what overharvesting is. I'm going to explain why it's becoming more common, and most importantly, we're going to go through some case studies just to give you an idea what this looks like in real life. Welcome to the channel. My name is Jibril. I'm a pharmacist with 13 years of experience who also used to work for a hair clinic. If you haven't subscribed, consider subscribing for more content like this. So let's have a look at some examples of overharvesting. And the first one is this gentleman. We can see the back of his head, and this is a clear case of overharvesting. You can tell because there's some patches in his donor area, especially on the back of the head. And the first area that I want to point out is this one here. This is where the patchiness, the overharvesting is most clear. Let me just remove the highlighter, and you can see this area here. If you look either side of this area here, there's some dense hair, but then suddenly here there's clear overharvesting, a clear patch of hair loss. And this gentleman, all I know is that he's had a procedure, and this is a few months after the procedure. Luckily for him, this is a mild case because he has plenty of hair here and plenty of hair on the other side as well. So luckily for him, it's a mild case, and he has a good chance of getting some more grafts and further procedures in the future. Wow, this is one of the worst ones. Actually, this is the worst one that I'm going to feature in this video because this is just horrific. This is as bad as it gets, and I hope nobody watching this video ever experiences something like this. So basically, this is the scalp. You can actually see the scalp is clean bald in this massive area here. I don't even have to use the highlighter here. You can see it plain as day. And this is so bad. I think this just can't be overharvesting. I refuse to believe that there's somebody that incompetent that they would actually do this. So I wonder whether it's also some sort of a shock loss, that the hair was the donor area was so overharvested during the procedure that there's an element of shock loss as well. I can't be 100% sure because I don't really have the full facts of this case, but this is really, really bad. Now let's talk about why this is becoming more common over the last 5 to 10 years. I think there's 3 key reasons. The first one is poor skills. I mean, some clinics just use technicians or nurses or even surgeons that aren't really trained properly in hair transplants. Maybe they're surgeons that have come from other fields of medicine and retrained. So that's the first reason. The second reason is just pure money, because the more grafts a clinic can take out, the more they can charge you, the more money they make. It's really as simple as that. This is why I say it's really important to get several quotes from different clinics before you do your procedure. And the final reason is, this is really becoming common over the last, I would say, 2-3 years. It's a marketing ploy, because if you can overharvest and really build a big bushy hairline with really big hair that the client can show off, you can put that on your website afterwards. That is just going to generate so many leads. It's going to be a marketing tool for you. People are going to look at your photo galleries, before and after photo galleries, and say, oh my god, this clinic, look at the hairlines, look how big that guy's hair is, this is a good clinic, I'm going to go there. Not realizing the reason they have these big hairlines is because the donor area has just been obliterated. This case is probably the saddest of all the cases I've featured in this video, because the guy actually needs more work done, but I don't know where he's going to go. Basically, this is simply unacceptable. The level of overharvesting is just shocking. I mean, I don't even have to highlight it, but I will. I mean, look at this. Look at that area there. I mean, there's just nothing there. I have no idea what they did to this guy. This is clearly the work of amateurs, and he does need further procedures because, as you can see, his crown is pretty bald, so he needs further procedures. But unless he's got lots of body hair or beard hair, he's got a decent beard. I actually featured this client in another video. He does need further procedures, but where is he going to get further grafts? I mean, his donor area has been really devastated, and both sides, the other side, so this is his left side, the other side is also equally bad. I've seen the other pictures. It's equal as, you know, just as bad as this side. So he probably has very small chance of ever having another procedure, even though he needs one, which is why I said this is probably the saddest one of all three. So, a shameless plug, I have a mentorship program that prepares you for hair transplant success. So if you're thinking about hair transplant and you're not really sure where to go and how to negotiate and how to plan your hair transplant, I have a mentorship program. So far I've helped 93 people over the last 3 years with 100% success rate. Yes, 100% success rate, and I intend to keep it that way, because quite simply, if somebody is not ready for a hair transplant and I don't think it's going to be a success, I just tell them. I tell them, don't have a hair transplant, you're not a candidate. And on the other hand, if they're a good candidate, I give them an exact plan of not just, you know, looking at pictures and saying, yeah, you're a good go and have a hair transplant. This is a detailed plan that actually covers everything from how many grafts you should have, when you should have your hair transplant, how much you should be paying, and lots of other stuff. And it's a paid program, so please don't email me expecting this to be free. It's a paid program. It's not a cheap program, but it's absolutely dirt cheap, a fraction of the cost that you would pay for a hair transplant, and even a bigger fraction of the cost that you would pay to repair a botched hair transplant. So if you're looking for that kind of service, I'll leave my details below this video. This case study is a little bit controversial because I've discussed it with other people and they said, oh, maybe there's no overharvesting here, but I think there's a good chance when his hair grows that it will become clear that there's been some overharvesting. There's just something when I look at the donor area here that tells me there's some overharvesting going on. So let me just zoom in a little bit. So let's have a look at this area here. So this is the area of concern, and I think there's could well be some overharvesting here, because if you look at this area here and compare it to this area here, just notice how more patchy this is. I mean, noticeably patchy. This area here has got kind of a more even appearance and density, but this area here is just kind of, it's got channels and it's got the hair going in different directions. I just get the feeling that this is going to turn out to be overharvesting in a few months down the line. But there's also the chance that in a few months down the line, because his hair density is good, that when the hair grows, it's not going to be as obvious, which is what I hope for this guy. But what I want to really draw your attention to is where this overharvesting comes from. If you look at the hairline, look how straight and thick the hairline looks. Now, which clinic springs to mind? This is a fashion these days, to make the hairline as thick as possible, to really overload the front of the hairline of the scalp so that the frontal appearance looks this good. And clinics are obsessed by this. When you go on clinic galleries, especially like Hair of Istanbul, this is all you see, the front. You never see what's going on at the back, and there's a good reason for that. It's because a lot of the time the back is overharvested. So the bottom line is, overharvesting is a very serious problem. It's becoming a more common problem, and the key to avoiding overharvesting, and I can't emphasize this enough, this is really boring to most of you, is to have the right plan. I mean, you're preparing for a hair transplant. This is a bigger decision, in my opinion. It is a bigger decision than even buying a house. This is, if this goes wrong or right, this is going to impact you for the rest of your life. So it's not something you can research from a few videos or from a few websites. You need to do your homework properly. Or if you can't do your homework properly, if you don't have the time, hire somebody to do it for you. Either come to me or to my mentorship program. There's other mentorship programs out there. Go and see them. The worst thing you can do is to go in without a detailed plan. Now over to you. Which one of these case studies, 1, 2, 3 or 4, do you think is the worst? Let me know in the comments below and I'll see if I agree with you. Take care. See you soon.